Welcome to the Sleepy Facts universe. As you settle in, let the weight of the day begin to soften and dissolve. Let your thoughts drift like gentle spores on a still evening breeze, carried to a quiet, peaceful place. Tonight, we are not simply closing our eyes, we are tuning our awareness to a different frequency, a slower, more ancient rhythm. We are turning our attention to a kingdom of life that exists in the spaces between, in the quiet beneath, a world that thrives not in haste, but in patient, deliberate expansion. We are observing the fungi. In this space, there is no need to analyze or memorize. Simply let the words paint soft images in your mind's eye. Images of deep, damp earth, of fallen leaves in a silent forest, of a hidden, interconnected world that asks for nothing but quiet appreciation. Our journey begins not with a mushroom, but with a whisper. The true body of a fungus is not the umbrella-shaped form we see after the rain. That is merely its fruit, a temporary offering to the air. The vast majority of its being remains unseen, woven into the very fabric of the soil. This is the mycelium. Picture it, a vast, sprawling network of impossibly fine thread-like filaments called hyphae. Each strand is thinner than a human hair, yet together they form a web of astonishing complexity, a subterranean internet of life. This mycelial network can be microscopic, or it can span for miles. A single organism, one of the largest on Earth, living quietly in the dark. It grows from the tip of each filament, extending its reach cell by cell in a slow, blind search. There is no rush. It encounters a pebble and simply grows around it. It meets a root and may embrace it. It is a lesson in persistent, gentle exploration. A reminder that progress is not always linear, but often a soft, spreading unfurling. As you breathe in, imagine the cool, still air of the forest floor. As you breathe out, release any lingering tension, any sense of urgency. In this hidden world, time moves differently. A network can take decades to establish itself, centuries even. It exists in a timescale that invites our own sense of time to slow, to match the steady, reassuring pace of growth beneath our feet. This network does not consume in the way we understand. It secretes delicate enzymes into its environment. Enzymes that gently break down organic matter. Fallen logs, decaying leaves, are gradually softened, transformed, and absorbed as simple nourishment. It is nature's ultimate recycler, a quiet alchemist turning the old into the foundation for new life. There is no violence in this process, only a slow, inevitable return, a letting go that fosters rebirth, and as it feeds, it connects. It forms symbiotic partnerships with almost every plant you can see. The mycelium wraps around, or even penetrates the tiny rootlets of trees and flowers, in a relationship called mycorrhiza. In this quiet trade, the fungus offers the plant water and minerals gathered from far and wide. In return, the plant shares sugars it created from sunlight. A silent, mutual exchange. A conversation conducted through chemistry, in the dark. So, as you lie here, imagine the roots of a great oak, not alone but cradled in a soft, living web, a web that connects it to the pine nearby, to the fern, to the wildflower, a community linked not by competition, but by an ancient cooperative agreement, a network that turns an entire forest into a single, interconnected entity. A community. You are listening to the story of that connection, a lullaby of interconnection. Feel your own connection to the surface you rest upon, a gentle yielding. Your breathing, deep and slow, is your own quiet rhythm, just as the mycelium has its own. There is no need to go anywhere or do anything. You are simply present, observing from a place of deep rest, the first principles of this sleepy fungal universe, a universe built on patience, on connection, and on the slow, beautiful work of transformation that happens in the dark, As this vast, silent network thrives in the darkness, it occasionally undertakes a remarkable act of creation, a signal to the world above. When conditions are just right, when temperature, moisture, and nourishment align in a perfect, quiet harmony, the mycelium gathers its resources. It directs its energy toward a singular, beautiful purpose, forming a fruiting body. This is the moment of gentle emergence. Think of it not as a sudden event, but as a slow, inevitable rising. A tiny knot of hyphae, known as a primordium, begins to swell with water. It is a minuscule promise nestled in the soil. Over hours, or sometimes days, it pushes upward with a steady hydraulic pressure so gradual it is almost undetectable. It is not a forceful break, but a soft yielding of the earth. The leaf litter parts softly, the moss accommodates, and a new form enters the world. This is the mushroom we recognize, but see it now with new eyes, as an architectural marvel built from water and intention. Its stem, or stipe, acts as a supportive pillar, raising its cap towards the forest's breath. The cap itself is a protective canopy, shielding the delicate gills beneath, and those gills, or sometimes pores or teeth, are where the next quiet miracle is prepared. For this structure is, above all else, a vessel for spores. Imagine each spore as a tiny, dormant galaxy of potential, lighter than dust, designed for journeys on air currents we cannot feel. They are not seeds, but singular haploid cells, each carrying a unique blueprint, waiting for a chance meeting. Their production is a constant, gentle rain within the protected chamber of the cap. The mushroom's shape is a masterclass in aerodynamic elegance, evolved over eons to facilitate this serene dispersal. The spacing of the gills creates a perfect microclimate, a still, humid space where spores can detach without clumping. As the most imperceptible breezes filter through the forest understory, they are channeled beneath the cap, lifting these microscopic travelers into the air column. A single mushroom can release millions upon millions of spores in a day, a silent, invisible blizzard of potential, all in utter silence. Notice the variety in this strategy of peace. Some fungi forego the cap and stem design entirely, crafting instead intricate shelf-like brackets on the sides of trees. These perennial structures release their spores from tiny pores year after year, a study in patient endurance. Others create delicate, lattice-worked cages or star-shaped bodies that curl open when raindrops fall, using the impact of a single droplet to propel their spores into the world. Each method is a unique solution to the same quiet question of how to whisper your essence into the wind. And in this act of release, there is a profound lesson in surrender. The fungus invests immense energy into constructing this temporary tower, only to let its most fundamental purpose, its potential for future life, be carried away on unseen drafts. It has no control over where a spore will land. It simply creates, releases, and trusts in the vast statistical poetry of nature. The mushroom itself will soon dehydrate, soften, and return to the earth from which it came, a fleeting monument to a cycle that is forever turning. As you listen, you might imagine these spores drifting, not with urgency, but with infinite patience. Most will land on inhospitable surfaces, on stone, on water, on already occupied soil, and simply cease to be. But a fortunate few will find the perfect combination of moisture, temperature, and a food source. And there, in that tiny, lucky space, a hyphal thread will germinate, beginning the entire cycle anew, from a single, silent release. A new network can begin its slow, deliberate work of weaving the world together. Beneath the visible marvel of spore release lies an even deeper, more resonant layer of existence. This hidden activity is not about growth or dispersal, but about communication and nurture. The mycelial network, it turns out, possesses a kind of silent awareness, a chemical sentience that allows it to interact with its environment in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. Consider the soil through which it grows. It is not a blank, passive medium, but a vibrant, crowded ecosystem. The mycelium must navigate this complex terrain. To do so, it engages in a constant, quiet dialogue. The tips of the hyphae sense gradients of nutrients, of moisture, of chemical signals from plant roots and other microbes. They process this information, making minute decisions about where to grow, where to invest resources. There is no central brain directing this. The intelligence is distributed, a collective wisdom emerging from countless tiny points of perception. It is a democracy of growth, where each filament contributes to the overall direction. This chemical conversation extends to its arboreal partners. The mycorrhizal network is now understood to be more than a simple trade route. It can function as a nervous system for the forest. When one tree is stressed, perhaps by an insect infestation or a lack of water, it can release chemical signals into the network. These signals, these silent whispers, can be perceived by neighboring trees connected via the same fungal web. Those trees, in turn, may bolster their own chemical defenses in anticipation. It is an early warning system, woven from biology, a community sharing information for the collective good, all conducted in utter stillness. The fungus itself also faces challenges, and its responses are lessons in resilient softness. When the network encounters a toxic substance or a competing organism, it does not retreat in fear. Instead, it often alters its chemistry. It may produce subtle compounds to inhibit its competitor, or it may begin the slow work of breaking down a pollutant, transforming a poison into harmless molecules through the sheer patience of its enzymatic touch. This remediation happens not with fanfare, but with the quiet determination of 1,000 tiny threads working in unison over seasons. And within its own vast self, the fungus manages resources with the wisdom of an ancient kingdom. Nutrients gathered in a sun-dappled patch of forest can be transported through the network to a shaded, nutrient-poor area where the same organism is struggling. This redistribution is a form of natural socialism, ensuring that no part of the whole is left wanting. It is a flowing, sharing system that sustains itself through balance and mutual support, a model of community that thrives without hoarding. As you breathe slowly in this space of rest, let this image soothe you. A world where challenges are met not with frantic force, but with adaptive chemical wisdom. Where threats are communicated silently, allowing the community to prepare. Where resources flow to where they are most needed, along living pathways. It is a testament to the power of connection, to the strength found not in solitary struggle, but in woven, interconnected being. The forest floor is not a scene of quiet solitude, but of profound, silent conversation, a symphony of biochemical signals that sustains the entire woodland in a state of peaceful, dynamic equilibrium. This symphony of interconnection gives rise to forms of breathtaking, yet serene diversity. Far beyond the familiar stem and cap, the fungal kingdom expresses itself in structures that seem woven from dreams, each designed for its own specific, tranquil purpose. Let your mind wander through. This gallery of gentle architecture. Imagine, first, a fallen log in the deepest shade, softened by decades of dew and decay. Upon its side, a cascade of delicate overlapping shelves emerges. These are the polypores, their undersides a canvas of thousands of tiny pores. To the touch, they are often surprisingly firm, yet velvety. Some display concentric rings of muted color, soft grays, dusty browns, pale ochres, like the growth rings of a tree made visible on the surface. They grow with a horizontal grace, parallel to the earth, a statement of stable, grounded existence. They do not seek the sky, but instead spread slowly outward, claiming their space on the vertical plane with timeless patience. Then, in the dampest, most secret hollows, you might find the jelly fungi. Appearing after prolonged rains, they look like translucent, gelatinous blossoms spilled upon the wood. Their forms are amorphous, flowing over the contours of bark like solidified, amber-colored water or dark, wine-hued sap. They have a quiet, elastic beauty, shriveling in dry periods to nearly invisible crusts, only to rehydrate and return to their supple state with the next mist. They are a lesson in resilience through flexibility, in existing in phases, reminding us that dormancy is not an end, but a quiet waiting. Beneath the leaf litter, entirely hidden from the sun's gaze, other fungi perform their entire life cycle in the dark. The truffle is one such enigma. It forms a solid marble-like body underground, never breaching the surface. To spread its spores, it relies not on wind, but on scent. It produces complex, aromatic compounds that seep through the soil, an earthy perfume that lures mammals like squirrels, mice, and boars. These creatures, guided by this mysterious fragrance, will dig for the truffle, consume it, and later disperse its spores across the forest. It is a dispersal strategy built on allure and mutual benefit, a hidden treasure that uses aroma as its map, and sometimes the fungal form seems to defy solidity altogether. The slime mold, though not a true fungus, shares this realm of quiet wonder. It exists as a single giant cell, a plasmodium, that flows like a slow-motion, intelligent oil slick over the forest floor. It navigates its environment with a peaceful, pulsing rhythm, seeking out bacteria and decaying matter to envelop. It is life at its most fluid and primal, a reminder that consciousness, in its most basic form, can be a gentle, spreading awareness, a decision to flow in one direction rather than another, all without a single neuron. Each of these forms, from the sturdy bracket to the scented truffle, represents a perfect adaptation to a specific niche. They are not competing to be the best fungus, but simply to be the best version of themselves for their particular corner of the world. They show us that success is not a single shape, but a spectrum of forms, each valid, each beautiful in its own right, each contributing to the whole in its unique, quiet way. If we listen even more closely to the quiet hum of this kingdom, we discover that its influence extends beyond the soil and the forest, weaving itself into the very fabric of human history and culture. Our relationship with fungi is an ancient one, built not on dominance, but on a slow, observed partnership. Long before laboratories or science, there was an intuitive understanding of their transformative power. The most profound of these partnerships may be the quiet revolution of bread. Imagine the earliest bakers noticing a curious thing. A simple paste of crushed grain and water, if left to itself, would sometimes change. It would become alive with bubbles, swelling with a breath not its own. This was the work of wild yeasts, tiny, single-celled fungi, floating invisibly in the air, settling into the dough. These microscopic beings would consume the sugars, gifting back carbon dioxide and alcohol. The dough would rise, and when baked, that trapped breath would create a texture softer, more palatable, more nourishing than any flat, hard cake of grain. This was not an invention, but a discovery, a collaboration with the invisible world that lifted our very sustenance, transforming the dense into the light. And then there is the mystery of fermentation. Across ancient cultures, vessels of fruit or honey, left in stillness, would begin to change. The same wild yeasts would work their gentle magic, preserving the harvest, creating new flavors, new sensat, ions. The result was more than just sustenance. It was communion, celebration, and medicine. These fermented drinks were often seen as sacred, as gifts from the earth or the gods. They were a tangible manifestation of transformation, the proof that patience and unseen forces could turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, the sweet into the complex, the perishable into the preserved. Beyond nourishment, fungi offered other forms of utility, discovered through patient observation. The tinder fungus, a hard, hoof-shaped polypore found on birch trees, was a keeper of fire. Its inner flesh, when prepared and dried, has the remarkable ability to catch and hold a spark from flint and steel, smoldering for hours. It was a living coal, a portable piece of the hearth, allowing our ancestors to carry fire, the very essence of warmth, safety, and community, with them as they moved. This fungus was not food, but a guardian of a fundamental human technology, a quiet ally in the darkness. Even in the realm of color, fungi provided their gifts. Certain shelf fungi and lichens, those symbiotic unions of fungi and algae, yielded rich, earthy dyes. Boiled in water, they would release hues of muted gold, soft brown, deep russet, and ochre. These colors were used to stain wool, to paint on skin, to decorate tools. They connected daily life to the palette of the forest floor, clothing communities in the essence of bark, leaf, and soil. It was a way of wearing the landscape, a constant, gentle reminder of their embedded place in the natural world. These ancient partnerships speak of a time when humanity observed and cooperated with the subtle processes of nature. There was no forcing, only facilitating, providing the grain, the vessel, the spark, and then allowing the quiet fungal intelligence to perform its age-old work. It is a relationship built on trust in the unseen, and a recognition that some of the most vital transformations occur not through force, but through patient, symbiotic allowance. This ancient, intuitive partnership finds a deeper echo in the very cycles that govern all life. The fungal kingdom is the master of a profound, peaceful process that underlies the world's renewal, decomposition. This is a word often associated with endings, with loss, with decline. But in the quiet hands of the mycelium, it is revealed as the most essential act of gentle recycling, a slow, loving return. Picture a towering oak, a monarch of the forest, reaching the end of its centuries of life. It falls. In that moment of impact, a new chapter begins, not of death, but of transformation. The mycelial networks already present in the wood and soil receive a new signal, a vast offering of complex material. They respond not with haste, but with a deliberate enzymatic embrace. The fungus secretes its chemical messengers into the fallen giant. These compounds are not violent. They are precise keys, designed to unlock the intricate structures of lignin and cellulose, the tough P. Polymers that form wood. They soften, they untangle, they break apart. It is a dismantling, but one performed with the utmost care, disassembling the complex into the simple. The solid, strong form of the tree gradually becomes spongy, then crumbly, releasing its stored nutrients back into the earth. This process is the antithesis of consumption. It is liberation. The carbon, nitrogen, and minerals that were locked away in the tree's body for generations are gently freed, made available once more. They become the building blocks for mosses, for ferns, for the seedlings of the next generation of trees that will sprout in the sunlight, filtering through the canopy. The fallen log, over time, becomes a nurse log, a soft, fertile cradle for new life, its entire form a testament to the generosity of letting go. And what of the autumn leaves, that annual carpet of gold and crimson? The same quiet workforce is there. The mycelium weaves through the leafy blanket, breaking down the chlorophyll, the sugars, the delicate tissues. It is a slow composting on a grand scale, turning the vibrant palette of autumn into the rich, dark humus of spring. This humus is more than just soil. It is a living reservoir of fertility, a sponge that holds water and nutrients, created entirely through this patient process of return. In this constant, unhurried cycle, there is no waste. There is only change of state. What was once a leaf, a branch, a towering trunk, becomes the potential for a flower, a bee, a new root. The fungus is the intermediary in this sacred transaction, the silent steward ensuring that nothing is ever truly lost, only reformed. It teaches us that an ending is always, without exception, a precursor to a beginning, that to decay is to offer oneself up for future creation. It is the ultimate lesson in generosity, a giving back so complete that it forms the very foundation from which all life springs anew. As you rest, you can imagine this cycle not as a distant process, but as a gentle rhythm that permeates all of nature, and indeed, our own selves. Our bodies, too, are part of this flow of matter and energy. There is a deep comfort in this continuity, in knowing that we are woven into a fabric where every ending is held, transformed, and lovingly reused in the great, quiet tapestry of being within this grand, cyclical tapestry. Certain fungi have learned to express themselves not through decay, but through a radiant, otherworldly language. They create their own soft light in the heart of darkness. This phenomenon, known as bioluminescence, is a whisper of magic in the silent forest, a natural marvel that transforms the ordinary into the enchanting. Imagine a walk through a dense, humid woodland on a moonless night. The air is still and rich with the scent of damp earth and rotting wood. Then you see it, a faint, ethereal glow emanating from a fallen log. Approaching slowly, you find the source, a patch of fungal growth, perhaps the honey mushroom the aptly named jack-o'-lantern fungus, emitting a cool, greenish-blue light. It is not a bright, harsh glare, but a persistent, ghostly luminescence, as if the wood has absorbed and is now slowly releasing the memory of daylight. This light is not created by heat, like a flame, but through a serene chemical reaction within the fungal cells. It involves a compound called luciferin and an enzyme, luciferase, working in tranquil harmony. When oxygen is present, they interact, releasing energy in the form of this gentle, visible glow. It is a pure, efficient form of energy conversion, a quiet, living chemistry that paints the darkness with brushstrokes of soft radiance. The purpose of this beautiful display is a subject of peaceful speculation. One theory suggests it is a form of communication in a world without eyes to see it. The light may attract certain nocturnal insects, tiny beetles perhaps, or flies, that inadvertently brush against the fungus, picking up spores on their bodies and carrying them to new locations. In this way, the glow becomes a silent beacon, a way to recruit unknowing partners in dispersal under the cover of night. The insect is not hunted or harmed, it is merely invited, drawn by the light like a tranquil moth, and in its curious visit it performs a service. Another possibility is that the light serves as a warning. Its eerie glow might signal to larger, foraging animals that the fungus is unpalatable or toxic, a natural do not disturb sign writ. N, in bioluminescent script, it is a defense mechanism that requires no spines, no poisons, no aggressive posturing, only a serene, unmistakable advertisement of its nature. Or perhaps, in the deepest, most philosophical sense, the light serves no direct purpose at all. It is simply a beautiful byproduct of the fungus's metabolism, an expression of its unique biochemistry, a quiet song it sings to the darkness because it can. It reminds us that nature is not always purely utilitarian. It sometimes creates art for its own sake, a soft glow in the void that asks for nothing in return but our wonder. As you lie in the dark of your own room, let this image soothe you, a world where light can be born from life itself, without fire or sun, where organisms can paint with their own inner chemistry. It transforms the concept of darkness, from something empty or forbidding into a canvas upon which living things can write their own gentle, luminous stories. The glowing fungus does not fight the night. It converses with it, adding a layer of serene, living beauty to the profound and peaceful black. This capacity for silent, luminous expression hints at a broader truth. The fungal kingdom possesses a biochemical vocabulary of breathtaking complexity. Within the serene body of a mushroom, a vast apothecary of compounds sleeps, each molecule a quiet word in an ancient chemical language. Some of these words are gentle blessings, while others are solemn warnings, yet all are formed with the same patient, biological intent. Consider the forest floor after a gentle rain, dotted with various forms. An animal, guided by instinct or curiosity, may sample one. Some fungi offer nourishment, their flesh packed with proteins, minerals, and unique vitamins. Others, however, contain compounds designed not to kill with violence, but to communicate through consequence. A molecule may cause a stomachache, a temporary illness, a clear biochemical message to the consumer to seek sustenance elsewhere in the future. This is not malice, but a boundary set with chemical clarity, a way of ensuring the fungus can complete its spore-releasing mission undisturbed. Beyond these simple warnings, certain fungi craft molecules of profound sophistication that interact with the animal mind. The famous psilocybin-containing mushrooms produce compounds that, when consumed, temporarily alter perception, blurring the lines between the self and the environment. In the natural world, this likely serves as a potent deterrent, causing disorientation in a would-be predator. Yet, in human hands, under sacred and intentional contexts, these same molecules have been used for millennia as keys to different states of consciousness, tools for introspection and ritual. The fungus does not intend this, it simply creates the compound. The meaning and use are interpreted by the beholder, making it a neutral key that can open different doors. Other fungal chemicals have found their way into our world as gentle helpers. The statins, used to support human cardiovascular health, were first derived from a humble mold. The antibiotic penicillin, a revolution in medicine, was the defensive secretion of the penicillium mold, a way to inhibit bacterial competitors in its microenvironment. We learn to listen to this chemical warfare and harness it for healing. The fungus, in its quiet quest to secure space and resources, inadvertently gifted us with tools of immense benevolence. This biochemical creativity extends to pigments that resist fading, to enzymes that can digest stubborn pollutants like petroleum or plastic, and to novel structures that inspire material scientists. The mycelium itself, when grown in controlled conditions, can be formed into soft, durable, and fully biodegradable packaging, or even architectural materials, a testament to its structural intelligence. So within every quiet fungal form lies this latent potential, a library of silent solutions written in the language of atoms and bonds. They are not inventions, but discoveries. They were here long before us, solutions to life's challenges crafted over eons of evolutionary patience. The fungus does not announce its pharmacy, it simply exists, its body a testament to the fact that profound utility can emerge from the simplest of motives to grow, to persist, to connect, and to communicate in the shared, silent language of life on Earth, while we often perceive the forest as a collection of individui, trees and plants. The fungal network invites us to see a different truth, a community so deeply intertwined, it challenges the very concept of separation. This vision is embodied in places where the fungal presence becomes not just visible, but dominant, sculpting entire landscapes with its quiet persistence. These are the realms where fungi step into the light, not as solitary fruits, but as architects of atmosphere. Enter the old-growth forest, a place of hushed tones and filtered green light. Here, the air feels different, cooler, damper, charged with a palpable sense of age and continuity. This atmosphere is, in part, a fungal breath. The massive, mycelial networks in the soil regulate moisture, slowly releasing water vapor in a constant, gentle exhalation. They contribute to the distinctive petrichor, that earthy scent after rain, by releasing geosmin, a compound that speaks to our deepest senses of place and calm. The very quality of the air you would breathe in such a wood is a gift from the unseen web below. In certain special corners of the world, fungi create more distinct ecosystems. Imagine a high-altitude conifer forest, where the soil is acidic and nutrients are locked tightly away. Here, a unique relationship forms. The trees and a particular group of fungi become so codependent that they create a specific zone around the roots called the mycorrhizosphere. This is a tiny, bustling world where bacterial populations are shaped by fungal chemistry, where nutrient exchange is constant, and where the boundary between root and fungus blurs into a single cooperative organ. The forest floor in these places is often carpeted in a thick, spongy layer of slowly decaying needles, a mattress maintained by fungal activity, silencing footsteps and creating a walking experience of profound softness. Then there are the fairy rings, these mysterious circles of darker grass or mushrooms that appear in meadows and lawns are not the work of mythical creatures, but a beautiful record of a fungus's peaceful expansion. A spore lands and the mycelium grows outward in a perfectly even circle from that central point. As it expands, it breaks down organic matter in the soil, releasing nutrients. The grass at the leading edge of the circle, where this nutrient pulse is freshest, grows greener and thicker. The older mycelium in the center eventually dies, leaving the inner grass less vigorous. What we see from above is a living map of a fungus's life story, a tranquil, radial diary written in grass and mushrooms over seasons and years. It is a natural artwork of patience, a slow-motion bloom upon the earth. These fungal-influenced landscapes are not barren or strange. They are often places of exceptional biodiversity and stability. The network supports the flora, which in turn supports the fauna, creating a resilient, interconnected community. The fungus, in its silent, sprawling way, acts as a gentle foundation, a living substrate upon which the visible beauty of the world is built. It teaches us that the most important foundations are often the ones we cannot see, and that true stability arises not from rigid, solitary strength, but from countless, soft, interconnected threads of mutual support. This foundational role extends beyond the living, into the very fabric of time itself. Fungi are not merely inhabitants of the present landscape. They are gentle archivists, silent witnesses to epochs that have slipped into memory. Their work is etched into the stone of ancient cliffs and preserved within the amber of fossilized resins, offering us fragmented, yet profound, glimpses into worlds that have long since faded. Consider the phenomenon of lithification, a process of serene preservation. A tree falls in a primeval swamp, sinking into the anoxic mud. Over millennia, minerals like silica slowly percolate through the water, infiltrating the plant's cellular structure. In some miraculous instances, these minerals do not simply create a cast of the tree, they replicate it with microscopic fidelity, atom by atom, replacing the organic material with stone. This is how petrified wood is formed. And within that stony record, paleontologists often find the delicate, filamentous trails of mycelium, the ghostly impressions of fungal hyphae that were exploring that very log millions of years before humans walked the earth. They are frozen in a moment of eternal exploration, a snapshot of a relationship between decomposer and wood that is old as forests themselves. Elsewhere, in the sticky embrace of prehistoric tree resin, smaller dramas were captured. A glob of resin would ooze down a trunk, engulfing whatever lay in its path. Insects, plant fragments, and sometimes tiny delicate mushrooms were trapped in this golden prison. As the resin hardened into amber over millions of years, it preserved these organisms in perfect three-dimensional detail. Some of the most exquisite ancient mushrooms known to science are these amber-entombed specimens, their caps, gills, and stems suspended in perfect clarity. They are not impressions or mineral replacements, but the actual organisms, their chemistry transformed yet their form immaculately held. Looking at them, one can almost sense the humid air of that long-lost forest, feel the stillness before the resin's final, preserving grasp. These fungal fossils tell a silent story of constancy. The mushrooms, preserved in amber from 100 million years ago, bear a striking, familiar resemblance to those that push through the leaf litter today. Their forms, the umbrella cap, the central stipe, were already perfected in an age of dinosaurs. This speaks of an evolutionary serenity. Once a successful blueprint for survival and dispersal was found, the fungal kingdom refined it with gentle patience, rather than engaging in relentless, frantic change. It is a lesson in elegant efficiency, a testament to designs that endure because they work in harmonious dialogue with the fundamental elements of wind, gravity, and organic decay. From the deep time of stone and amber, we return to the immediate, the tangible, the realm of texture and sensation. The fungal kingdom offers a symphony for the hands, a palette of physical experiences that speak to a quiet, tactile intelligence. Each species has evolved not just a shape, but a specific feeling, a way of interacting with the world through its very substance. Begin with the common meadow mushroom. Its cap, when young and fresh, is a study in cool, smooth firmness. The skin is like stretched satin, dry and flawless. Press it gently and it yields with a slight, resilient spring, returning to its perfect dome. The stem snaps with a clean, crisp sound, revealing a flesh that is white and uniform. This is the feeling of freshness itself, a crispness that speaks of dew and early morning. Contrast this with the woodier fungus, found clinging to elder trees after rains. Its form is a thin, ear-like cup, gelatinous and flexible. To the touch, it is cool and strangely rubbery, with a velvety texture on its outer surface. It can be bent and folded without breaking, a testament to its water-filled structure. Holding it is like holding a piece of the rain itself, captured and given a delicate, edible form. It embodies flexibility and hydration, an organism that is more liquid than solid, yet holds its shape with quiet determination. Then there are the polypores, the sturdy shelf fungi. Their surfaces tell story. Severs. Some are velvety to the touch, a soft suede that invites a slow stroke. Others are hard and woody, like the hoof of a deer, their concentric ridges forming a topographic map of their growth. They cannot be broken by hand, they must be sawed. They represent endurance, a commitment to place, growing layer upon layer in the same spot season after season. Their texture is one of time made solid. Consider the puffball, a perfect sphere nestled in the grass. When young and edible, its interior is pure, homogeneous white, with a texture like fresh marshmallow or soft cheese. But when it matures, its mission changes. The inside transforms into a mass of dry olive-brown spores. A slight pressure from a passing animal, or even a falling raindrop, causes it to puff out a cloud of dust through a tiny apical pore. The texture shifts from solid to ethereal, from a contained form to a willing dispersal. To touch a ripe puffball is to trigger a quiet explosion, a release that feels like a whispered secret. Even decay has its own tactile poetry. A log thoroughly worked by mycelium becomes punky. This wood is soft, fibrous, and cool. You can tear it apart with your fingers, its structure giving way to reveal the white, thread-like mycelium within. It crumbles without splintering, a surrender so complete it feels peaceful. It is the texture of transformation itself, the solid becoming soft, the resistant becoming yielding. Each of these textures, the crisp, the gelatinous, the woody, the powdery, the punky, is a direct expression of function. They are not random. They are the physical results of the fungus's way of life, its answer to the questions of how to protect itself, how to hold moisture, how to endure, and how to let go. To engage with them, even in imagination, is to listen to a story told not with words or light, but with feel, a silent language of substance and form. Beneath these myriad textures and forms lies a universal unifying principle, a quiet pulse that guides the existence of all fungi. This is the principle of rhythmic growth, a slow biological cadence tied not to the rapid turning of days, but to the patient turning of seasons and the subtle language of the environment. The fungal kingdom moves to a different metronome, one that measures time in expansions and retreats, in responses to signals far more ancient than any clock. Unlike plants, fungi lack chlorophyll and feel no urgency toward the sun. Their growth is not dictated by the daily arc of light, but by more constant subterranean factors. The primary conductor of this rhythm is moisture. Hyphae extend through the liquid film coating soil particles and organic matter. In times of sufficient dampness, the network expands, its microscopic tips probing forward in a gentle, relentless exploration. During dry periods, growth may slow or pause entirely, the mycelium retreating into a dormant state, conserving its resources with infinite patience. It is a life attuned to the whisper of water, a swelling and contracting as rhythmic as breathing, but measured in weeks and months. Temperature, too, sets the pace. Many fungi display a preference for the cool embrace of autumn, when the soil retains the summer's warmth, but the air begins to chill. This is the signal for the formation of fruiting bodies. The mushrooms we see, the mycelium, having built its resources through the summer, interprets the specific combination of cooling air and moist soil as the perfect cue to fruit. It is a seasonal rhythm, an annual offering to the wind, timed to coincide with the fall of leaves and the preparation of the earth for winter's rest. But perhaps the most fascinating rhythm is that of chemical conversation. The mycelium does not grow blindly. It responds to gradients, subtle differences in nutrient concentration, the presence of plant root exudates, or even the chemical signatures of other fungi. It can sense a nutrient source nearby and direct its growth toward it, a slow, deliberate movement called chemotropism. It can also sense the presence of its own kind, sometimes avoiding confrontation by altering its direction or conversely fusing with a genetically compatible network to form a larger cooperative whole. This decision-making is a slow, distributed process, a consensus reached across millions of cellular tips, resulting in a growth pattern that appears intelligent in its efficiency. This rhythmic, responsive existence reveals a different kind of consciousness, not a consciousness of thought, but of perception and reaction. The fungus feels its environment in a chemical and physical sense, and it grows accordingly. Its life is a continuous, gentle dialogue with the soil, the water, the roots, and the air. There is no central command, only countless local responses that together create a pattern of harmonious existence. As you rest, you might imagine your own rhythm softening, aligning with this slower, more patient pulse. Your breathing deepens, not to the tick of a second hand, but to the gradual turn of unseen cycles. In this space, there is no need to push forward against time. There is only the permission to be responsive, to expand and contract with the gentle cues of your own being, as naturally and effortlessly as the mycelium answers the call of the damp, cool earth. The quiet, rhythmic intelligence of the fungal network presents a profound mirror to another realm of nature's ingenuity, the human mind. specifically the structure and function of our own brains. While vast in their differences, the two systems, one of biochemistry in soil, the other of electricity and chemistry in tissue, engage in a silent, parallel dance of connection and information processing. Observe the form. The human brain is a vast network of neurons, each cell with a branching structure of dendrites and a long connecting axon. These neurons do not touch directly. They communicate across tiny gaps called synapses, using chemical neurotransmitters. Now, envision the mycelial mat, a vast network of hyphae, each thread connecting and branching, communicating across their shared walls or through the soil matrix with chemical signals. Both are decentralized, web-like structures where the strength and wisdom lie not in a central command node, but in the sheer multitude of interconnected pathways. Consider the function. In the brain, memories, learning, and thought are believed to be encoded in the pattern and strength of connections between neurons, the neural pathways that are reinforced through use. In the mycelium, the memory of the environment is encoded in its physical form. Where it has found nutrients, it invests in thicker cords. Where it encountered a barrier, it altered its route. The network's very architecture is a physical map of past successes and challenges, a living record of its interactions with the world. It grows its knowledge, literally. Both systems exhibit a property known as plasticity, the ability to change structure in response to experience. Our brains rewire throughout our lives. Similarly, a mycelial network is dynamic. If a food source is depleted, those pathways may be abandoned, and growth is redirected toward new discoveries. If part of the network is damaged, signals can be rerouted along alternative hyphal threads. This is resilience born of redundancy and interconnection, a lesson in adapting through flexible pathways rather than rigid plans. There is even a concept in mycology of decision-making. Faced with multiple potential food sources, a mycelial network can assess and allocate resources. It might strengthen connections to the richest source, a form of biological prioritization. This isn't conscious choice, but an emergent problem-solving that arises from countless local chemical reactions, much as our own complex decisions emerge from the cascading interactions of billions of neurons. This mirroring is not to suggest fungi think, rather, it reveals that the network, a pattern of distributed intelligence, resilient communication, and adaptive growth, is a powerful and recurring solution in nature. It appears in the branching of trees, in the flow of rivers, in human society, and in the circuits of the internet. The mycelium is one of its oldest and most peaceful biological expressions. So as your mind begins to quiet, to drift toward the edges of consciousness, you might reflect that the very architecture of your thoughts, the pathways of memory, the flow of calm, resonates with an ancient earthy pattern. Your neural landscape, in its quest for connection and understanding, echoes the quiet, seeking growth of the mycelial web in the soft, dark soil. Both are testaments to the power of the network, the strength of the weave, and the profound intelligence of simply being connected. This resonance between the network of the mind and the network in the soil invites a softer, more poetic contemplation. It beckons us to consider the fungal kingdom not just as a biological entity, but as a source of metaphor, a gentle, living lens through which we might view our own inner landscapes and emotional processes. In its quiet ways, it offers narratives for healing, for creativity, and for the nature of the self. Consider the concept of emotional or psychological decomposition. We all accumulate experiences that, like fallen leaves, have served their purpose but now may feel heavy, cluttering our inner space. The fungal metaphor suggests a gentle, transformative approach. Just as mycelium secretes enzymes to soften and break down complex matter, we too have inner processes, reflection, tears, conversation, art, that can slowly, patiently break down old hurts rigid beliefs, and outgrown stories. This isn't about violent removal, but a gentle composting. It allows the nutrients of those past experiences, the lessons, the resilience, the empathy, to be freed and recycled, becoming the fertile soil from which new growth can emerge. The past is not erased. It is transformed into what nourishes the present. Then there is the metaphor of connection. We sometimes feel isolated, like a single tree in a field. Yet, the mycelial network reminds us that beneath the surface of our awareness, we are all linked. Our relationships, our kind words, our shared silences form invisible threads of support and exchange. We offer our strengths where others have need, and we receive sustenance in our own moments of scarcity. This hidden web of care and community sustains us, often without our direct knowledge. Recognizing this can soften the edges of solitude, replacing it with a sense of being held in a quiet, living net of mutual belonging. The fruiting body, the mushroom, is a beautiful metaphor for creative expression. For so long, the work happens unseen, gathering resources, making connections, processing experiences in the dark of the mind or heart. Then, when the internal and external conditions are just right, a moment of calm, a feeling of safety, an inspired impulse, something emerges into the light. A poem, a gesture of kindness, a solution, a song. It may feel temporary, fragile, and it is meant to be shared, to release its spores of inspiration before it naturally fades. The creation is not the entire organism, merely its visible bloom. The real, enduring orc remains within, in the ever-expanding network of the self. Even the spore, that tiny vessel of potential, carries meaning. It represents our ideas, our influences, the small pieces of ourselves we release into the world through our actions and words. We have no control over where they land or if they germinate. We can only release them with hope, trusting that some will find the right conditions to take root in the heart or mind of another, beginning a new network of understanding elsewhere. It is an act of faith in the interconnectedness of all things. So tonight, as you drift, you might imagine your own inner world as a soft, dark, fertile place. Within it, a quiet network is always at work, processing, connecting, composting the old, and gathering resources for gentle future blooms. There is no hurry. There is only the patient, rhythmic, and deeply intelligent work of becoming, woven into the great, quiet web of being. As we rest within these soft metaphors, our awareness can expand further, beyond the single organism or the individual mind, to encompass entire ecosystems transformed by fungal presence. There are places on Earth where fungi step beyond partnership and into the role of gentle dominators, shaping worlds with such a slow, pervasive influence that the landscape itself becomes a testament to their quiet power. These are realms of profound tranquility and unique beauty. Envision a northern boreal forest, a sea of conifers like spruce and pine. Here, ground is often carpeted not with grass, but with a thick, spongy layer of reindeer lichen, a symbiotic union of fungus and algae. This lichen forms undulating, pale gray-green masses that stretch to the horizon, muffling all sound. Walking across it feels like stepping on a firm yet yielding cloud. This fungal-dominated carpet regulates the soil temperature, retains moisture, and provides crucial forage for caribou. It creates an entire sensory experience, a world of muted color, damp quiet, and soft footing, a biome engineered, in large part, by fungal life. In more temperate regions, consider the beech woodland. The dense canopy of beech trees creates a deep cathedral-like shade, allowing little undergrowth to thrive. The floor is instead a smooth, copper-colored tapestry of fallen leaves. Beneath this blanket, the mycorrhizal network associated with beech trees is so efficient and exclusive that it inhibits the germination of other plant species. The resulting forest feels open, serene, and incredibly still. The silence is profound, broken only by the rustle of a single falling leaf. This peaceful, almost minimalist landscape is a direct expression of fungal influence, a quiet agreement between tree and fungus that shapes the very aesthetic of the place. Then venture to the cloud forests, those high-altitude realms perpetually swathed in mist. Here, moisture is constant, and fungi thrive not just on the ground, but as epiphytes on every branch and trunk. Mosses which have fungal partners, drape the trees in thick, emerald-green cloaks. Shelf fungi bloom like wooden steps on the sides of ancient trees. The air is so saturated that mycelium seems to breathe through the bark itself. This environment feels ancient, dripping with life that is more fungal than floral, a world where growth is slow, constant, and supremely damp. It is a living embodiment of the fungal affinity for moisture, a realm where the network has ascended into the air itself. These fungal-shaped ecosystems share common qualities. They are often quiet, moist, stable, and rich with a particular kind of subdued beauty. They are not places of dramatic, fast-paced competition, but of settled, mature equilibrium. The fungal network provides such a stable foundation, efficiently recycling nutrients, forming exclusive partnerships managing water, that it allows a specific peaceful order to emerge above. It teaches us that the most powerful influences are not always the most visible or loud. Sometimes the gentlest hand, working persistently over centuries, can sculpt a world of breathtaking serenity, a testament to the power of quiet, pervasive presence. As our journey through the sleepy facts universe gently settles, like a spore finding its final, soft resting place, we arrive at the quietest truth of all. This truth is not about the fantastic shapes, the chemical brilliance, or the vast networks. It is about the fundamental role of the fungus as a guardian of the in-between aces, a tender of thresholds, a silent witness to the sacred transition from what is to what will be. In every forest, in every field, in every crack in the pavement, the fungal entity exists at the interface. It is the mediator between life and death, not as a grim reaper, but as a compassionate scribe, translating the complex language of the fallen into the simple alphabet of the new. It stands between the root and the soil, facilitating a conversation of exchange. It thrives in the boundary between light and dark, between the seen and the unseen. Its very home is the margin, the soft edge where one state softly bleeds into another. This positioning is not one of conflict, but of harmony. The fungus does not choose sides, it weaves them together. It shows us that what we might call an ending is simply a different kind of beginning, and that connection is most vital in the spaces that separate. The hyphal thread is the ultimate connector, the living stitch in the fabric of existence, mending the perceived gaps between organisms, between moments in time, between decay and growth. So, as you hover now in the soft threshold, between wakefulness and sleep, between listening and dreaming, may you feel a sense of deep belonging to these gentle transitions. Your breath is its own quiet cycle, like the mycelial rhythm of expansion and rest. Your releasing thoughts are like spores, carried away on the quiet stream of consciousness, needing no direction. Your body softening into the bed is like the leaf softening into humus, a safe, natural surrender. There is no more to learn tonight, no more facts to gather, only a feeling to inhabit, the feeling of being part of a vast, patient, interconnected system that operates on a timescale of profound peace. A system that holds you, not with grasp, but with presence. A network that supports without demanding, transforms without destroying, and connects all things in a continuous, silent flow. Let the image of the deep, dark, nurturing soil fill your mind's eye. It is not empty darkness, it is a living darkness, vibrant with gentle threads, each one a path, each one a connection, each one a quiet story of becoming. You are rooted in this darkness now, cradled by it, part of its endless sleepy web. Breathe in, the quiet of the forest floor. Breathe out, the release of the spore. Breathe in, the peace of the interconnected web. Breathe out, all sense of separation. And now, simply be, in the soft, dark, and infinitely connected universe, where every ending is a beginning, every release is a potential, and every quiet thread leads you gently home to rest. Good night.